Thank you, Susan. Thank you very much. I have to get a list of my all four successes and my pictures of my cricketing prowess to convince you of the level of skills that I have. But good night to you, Diego Martin, my cabinet colleague on stage with me tonight, Member of Parliament for Diego Martin Northeast, Minister of Finance Colin Imbert, my cabinet colleague, Member of Parliament for San Fernando West, Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Faris Al-Rawi, the new PNM Speaker, opening batsman who can stretch 7 minutes to 17, Simon de Nobrega of Mount Coco Alice Glen, and of course, hosting us here in this local government meeting tonight, the PNM stalwart, chairman of the Diego Martin Regional Corporation, head of the PNM's Women's League, Mrs. Susan Hong. And present with us here tonight is our party stalwart, our matriarch, Mrs. Joan Yule Williams, Deputy Political Leader, Party and Elections, my other cabinet colleagues, and most importantly, our standard bearers, all 10 of them, coming forward to represent the PNM and the entire Diego Martin community in the local government election of 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, the local government election campaign is rapidly coming to a close. And we very quickly organized this meeting here in Diego Martin because we have been all over the country seeking to convince people that the best option for the business of Trinidad and Tobago is the People's National Movement. We almost left you for last because we know you know that. And we are confident that you will maintain that position of choosing the best and ignoring the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, you see me here most casual, and I'm wearing my most casual red shirt. I love this shirt because on it you will see it says, I am the change. Two things happening there. One, there's change happening somewhere, and two, I'm somewhere involved in it. But this is a shirt given to me by the children of Laventil. You may recall that not too long ago, crime and criminality and underperformance of young people was synonymous with Laventil. Every time you talk about crime and persons who were stigmatized, it was always Laventil. Unfortunately, a lot of that has spread across the country, especially since live sport. Much of what had stigmatized Laventil has now spread across the country of Trinidad and Tobago. When I came in as Prime Minister, you may recall that one of the first ministers to have been mentioned during the election campaign, in fact, it was the first person, I told the country that the first Minister of Government to be appointed would be the Minister of Education, Anthony Garcia, who at that time was running for the first time in Arima. And the reason for that is because coming into government, I focused personally on the circumstances of the young people of Laventil, where they were, how they were treated, what they represented, and what could be done to and for them. So soon after I became Prime Minister, we decided to have a pilot project in Laventil to look at the environment in which these young people were growing up, to look at the role their parents were playing in bringing them up or failing to do so and the effect on the national community, and also to try to get them at the personal level to be the best that they could be. Because we had to break this cycle of unending supply of failing young people and failing parents to their children. And out of it came this pilot project, which we call the Laventille Project. And we kicked that off at the grandstand in the Savannah, where we brought 25 schools from the Laventille, the greater Laventille area, and we had a rally in the Savannah. I'm sure you forgot that. And out of it came these polo shirts, which the children still wear. Every time you see them in groups, it gives you hope, gives me hope, because the project has been going on. And a report came in a few days ago, and the report shows considerable progress in the areas of concern in the Laventille community. And that is change, change for the better. And I wear this shirt with pride. That pilot project is now ended, and the cabinet is taking a decision as to how we go forward in the area of Laventille and how we take it to other parts of the country to get the benefits of what the pilot has shown us. This is only one area. I almost said one small area, but it's not small. It's one area of the kind of change that has to happen in Trinidad and Tobago if we are to build a new and different society. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and expect a different result. You would have heard the Minister of Finance tonight talk about major financial matters at the other end of the scale. He talked about Caribbean Airlines. He talked about Petrotrin. We have upset some people by making change because change upsets some people. Because no matter how bad it is, somebody is doing well. If there's an epidemic and people are dying like flies in this country, I expect Belgrove and Simpson to smile, good business. But the bottom line is, for the wider national community, there are things that we have to change if we want to realize the potential that we have. And you change the government. You change the government. You didn't just change the government to give 25 different people ministerial jobs. Because I tell my colleagues in the cabinet, for whatever period of time you serve as a minister or whatever other office in the government, consider it a privilege, and it may be short, it could be medium, it could be long. Don't claim ownership and don't fall in love with it, but just try to do the best that you can do and bring about some element of change during the period that you were there. That's all it's about. So when we came into office, we happened to have come in at a very difficult time. And you here in Diego Martin, you know that. You know not only difficult financial matters that the Minister of Finance spoke about, but you know spite and discrimination. We had a road improvement program in this country where you paid on the gasoline tank. And we raised a number of millions of dollars for road improvement. And the UNC spent every dollar and did not spend $1 in Diego Martin. That's discrimination. When we had $20 billion a year more to spend, you did not get $1 spent on the Carnage fishing community. You did not get $1 spent on the Diego Martin Sporting Complex. You did not get $1 spent on the community centers. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, after almost 50 months of running this country, I can report to you tonight that the Carnage fishing complex is completed and is in use in the community of Carnage. I can report to you tonight that Diego Martin has one of the finest sporting facilities now in use in Diego Martin. I can report to you tonight that no longer are you taking your life in your hand to cross the Diego Martin Highway in 4 roads. You have one of the finest crossing in the country in 4 roads for adults and for children to go to and from school. I can tell you tonight that the Victoria Keys completed and occupied. We have to sell them to the public. Most of them are sold, but it has become part of the Diego Martin community under the HTC selling program. And of course, as I speak to you now, a first-rate Diego Martin Health Center is under construction. And we have two community centers, one in Bagatelle in North and one in Bagatelle in the South, in Degomat in the South, under construction. This is improvement, and there's one in Pitty Valley, I understand. So we have three under construction. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, we in this area, we know that there has to be balance in administration. But we also know that it doesn't come by VAPs. Coming into office in a difficult time, we took part in an election campaign in 2016. And part of the change that we are to become, we talked to you about local government reform. We said to you, if we reform local government by doing things differently, we can operate local government to give you a better quality of life in your district. The Diego Martin constituencies, all three of them are largely residential districts, a large number of households. And we had a particular interest in local government reform because we said that we can better manage our affairs in this and similar areas in the country if we have in our executive body in local government a revenue stream where you collect the taxes from the house owners, you keep it and you use it and you do a better job in managing their affairs, their roads, their drains, their environment, all the services that they get here. To do that, we had to implement the lifeblood of local government, which is the revenue stream from property tax. The principle is a large number of people paying a small tax creates a decent pool of funds to be used systematically. We're not asking any one person or any small group of persons to pay a burdensome tax. Look at the amount of houses in Diego Martin. I can tell you as a member of parliament from a Diego Martin constituency, we have some of the finest residential properties in Trinidad and Tobago. But we are also the only place in the world where the owners of those properties do not contribute through local taxes towards the maintenance of their area. Because other irresponsible people have decided to play stupid politics on saying that they're going to abolish property tax. So when they were in government, 5 years, 3 months and a few days, they gave a waiver on a tax that is required, that is useful. They came into government on a campaign about axe the tax. And they feel that that will carry them forever. They came in and they gave a waiver. On the way out, they took action in the parliament to end the waiver. They undermined the local government reform by preventing us from collecting the tax to give you in the corporation to service people here. They're going on platform now to take position in manifesto to say that they will abolish property tax, as if you will now run and go and vote for them because you think that that is some big benefit to you. It is no benefit to you. I'll tell you what the benefit is. Those who are able to afford, those who enjoy the benefits of the few cents in the treasury, who make no contribution to the community, they benefit. All the $1 million homes like mine in Goodwood Park, not paying 1 cent in property tax, and that cannot be right. Cannot be right. I have a house in Goodwood Park worth millions of dollars. They had to fix the road, clean the drain, cut the bush, kill the mosquitoes, kill the rat, give me fire service, give me police service, and I ain't paying a cent tax. No, how could that be serious? Are we a serious people? Are we a serious people? And many of my friends and colleagues have property in America. And the first thing they do on January 2nd is to pay the tax in America. But in Trinidad and Tobago, it's a big political issue. They're going to abolish property tax because they think you're stupid. I could tell you here in Diego Martin would be a much greater place, a much better place, a much more attractive place if the Diego Martin Corporation has a revenue stream collected from the residents, which it spends on the residents. And of course, having left you like that, Mr. Imbert mentioned Caribbean Airlines to you here. You know how those losses were accumulated? The same irresponsibility, the same dotishness, the same trying to do something different, but you don't have a good idea. I was a member of the Patrick Manning cabinet. I was chairman of a cabinet committee to look at what was happening at BWIA. Because every Monday morning we go to cabinet, every Thursday, BWIA come in, they want 10 million, they want 20 million, they want 10 million, they want 20 million US dollars, because BW is a user of US currency to conduct its business. And we said this could not go on. As chairman of that committee, we also had an examination of the airline, and we used proper expertise to examine the airline to find out why the airline was losing that kind of money and running to the treasury every Monday morning. That study showed, unlike what we were being told, that the biggest money loser in BWIA was the London route. We were losing money hand over fist, flying to London and just burning up Trinidad and Tobago money. That was the most surprising thing that came out in that analysis, because the public was being told that the London route was so profitable. We in the PNM, being responsible and understanding what public money is and how it should be managed, we shut down the London route. The UNC came in and decided they will do the opposite. They will start it back, because they try to give the impression that you do things stupidly. We shut down the London route because we're stupid. That's what they're telling you, you know. So they now, bright boys and bright girls, lady of the inner bar, self-appointed, and her friends, decided to start back the London route. Total disregard for the documentation that was there, which showed that that route was losing money hand over fist. So they start back the London route. But they have no plane. Because we in CAL, because we created CAL out of BWE, out of what I just told you. They had no plane. You know what they did? They went and leased 2 old planes. They started to burn money right there. Having leased the old planes, the planes did not have the navigational, what it may take to fly across the Atlantic to be certified to go to London. So they had to leave them in Mexico and pay millions of dollars a month for planes that they can't fly. When they eventually started to fly them, they started back the London route. And the London route, true to form, started to bleed money again like it was doing before. When we came in, we met these huge losses. That little taper alone of those 2 old planes to start back the London route cost you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, over $40 million. The US, afraid to say that. That 40 million is US dollars multiplied by 6.85. That is the record of Kamla Prasad Bisesa and her cabal. That is how they were spending public money in this country. But you will never hear that in a UNC meeting, on a UNC platform, or in certain columns in the newspaper, because they don't want you to know that. The only way you will know that is when the PNM tells you. They come in on platform to talk personalities with the outer place and disrespect. Is Imbert and Rowley. Me and you went to school together? Eh? And as of tonight, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, my name is Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. So they reduce the country's business. They reduce the country's business to personalities. So in the middle of a local government election where they undermine it, take it to court, because they genuinely believe they own the courthouse. If they eat some green banana and stomach hurt them, courthouse. They believe they own the courthouse. They believe they own the legal fraternity. They believe they own the government, so they must be inside there with a record like that. So in the middle of this local government campaign, after they went to court and tell the court to block this and to block that and to block that, the court says, well, okay, since all this case is being made against the local government reform, collection of taxes, and all of a sudden they're in the courthouse defending you, protecting you from the government that was abusing you. The court said, okay, do over all the roles in the country to determine where houses are, who owns house, so we have to populate a new role starting from scratch. And they knew once they got that from the court as the way forward in this country, it has years of delay. Years of delay. Under their 5 years, at approximately $400 million a year losses from not collecting those agreed taxes, that is $2 billion not made available to local government. And of course, having delayed us for another 4 years, and into the 5th year, another $2 billion. That is $4 billion of agreed taxes not collected because of UNC and Kamala and the damn stupidness. That's what's going on in this country. And then, while they're on that basis, they're quick to run to the media, the local government imps, some of them in the police hand, some of them in wherever they are. The PNM discriminating against us, they're not giving us money that Parliament approves. Parliament approves an estimate. The budget is an estimate. You expect to collect this money, and if you collect it, John gets 10, Harry gets 12, Tom gets 2. That is the budget. If you don't collect the money, if the money is not there, even though the Parliament approve it, it cannot be spent. And we have made sure that every one of the 14 bodies got a fair share of what is available. But them, coming to tell you about discrimination, because they always playing the race card. That is the next trump card. Race, race, race. Hatred, hatred, hatred. Personality, personality, personality. I mean, just to give you an understanding of their mindset. Munilal is in a UNC frontline constituency, down in Orapooch. You know what his big campaign in Orapooch is? Putting a banner across the road in Orapooch, telling people to hide their children from Keith Rowley. Because I'm a pedophile. That is the campaign of the UNC in a UNC stronghold. They don't even have the excuse to say, well, the seat is marginal and they're fighting hard to win it, or indecently as they are. That is them. That is them. Maxi Coffee dying, fighting for his life in St. Clair Medical. Them calling for by-election and they want it now. That is their behavior. But they will never tell you how they have run the country. They wouldn't tell you that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are committed to local government reform. And we will win the general election to be there to carry out the reform. Because we will end up doing what the court says, the work is going on now. And eventually the work will come to an end. And we will then be able to collect from you your little tax. Mr. Member just reminded me that what is being charged now is about the same as what it was under the landed building taxes. Their behavior, but they will stop it. Let me explain to you. They know that local government reform is a good thing for the country. They know it is going to only be affected on the revenue side. And that will pull within it the delivery of goods and services, the improvement of the quality of skills in local government, the creation of good jobs, employment creation in local government. They know that. But they will block it because it will give the government a positive. We have a problem with the Tobago ferries that they refuse to carry to dry dock. Run them up and down like an old bus until they can't go no further. We got extension upon extension under them until eventually the insurance companies, the certifiers will not certify the vessels anymore and say, out of the water. Those vessels were in such bad condition that when the express came out of the water, the cost to maintain it and put it back in has made it bad business to even try to maintain it. But you know, you have motor cars, you know, if you drive your motor car up and down and not maintain it, there will come a day when it has to be taken off the road and you lose the value of that car. But if you maintain it, there are cars on the road here 20 years old because they have been maintained. They who did that created a problem for us, the new government. and they milk it like an old cow. Because they're sure that will bring them back into government. Sea bridge collapse, ferry collapse, la 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 la, in your ears, in your nose every day. Today, we have 4 vessels going back and forth between Trinidad and Tobago. We have the Spirit, we have the Galleon Passage, we have the Jean de Valette, and we have the Cabo Star. The 4 vessels servicing Tobago. You know they're still talking about ferry collapse? And of course, the solution to that problem, the change that will bring a permanent solution, is to buy and have our own boats. You know, when we tried to buy the boats in Australia, these worthless people wrote the Australian opposition to tell them to attack the Australian government that is helping us to buy the 2 ferries. You know why? Because as far as they're concerned, the day those ferries come here, they are deprived of their stupid conversation about ferry collapse. When we bought the Galleon Passage, it was an interim arrangement, a stopgap arrangement. We went out looking for a boat to lease because we had none. The Express and the Spirit were down and could not be used and would take a long time to be repaired. We met a boat new that the owner couldn't pay for. Venezuelan owners, you know what happened in Venezuela? The Venezuelans ordered the boat for the Margarita service. They couldn't pay for it. We in the market looking for a boat to lease. They said this one for sale. We bought it. Wade Mark know the name, the rank, the serial number. Watson Duke knows it's a river boat, it's an old boat. I want to know what river it had between Caracas and Margarita. I said that dotishness, total dotishness. They want to pass as national conversation. And they work that boat, they sabotage it. They push down Jersey in the toilet, throw orange and grapefruit to have a story that the boat, that is what they're doing. That's what they are about in this country. To the point where, and they did so much of it, where it got to the point where Wade Mark is on record telling people, do not travel on the Galleon Passage because the boat is dangerous. I can tell you tonight, that boat has been in service every single day since then, going back and forth between Trinidad and Tobago and never missed a sailing except once when we had bad weather. That's what it's all about. We opened the Brian Lara Stadium that they left there. They left it there for 5 years. They teeth out everything that wasn't concrete. And then when we ask them, why aren't you completing that project? They tell us it will cost $275 million. Well, it would have cost that if they had finished it. We spent $89 million and finished it, and today it's one of the finest facilities in the Caribbean. The night of the opening, you know what they did? They come on the highway and block the highway to prevent people from coming from north down to the stadium. And during the night, when the game was going on, they go inside the Brian Lara Stadium, take off their clothes, and stuff it down in the toilet. To flood the toilets. To have a story. Because they were saying that the place had engineering problems. And therefore it was faulty and shouldn't have been completed. I can tell you tonight that one of the finest cricket games in the world now is the T20 final at the Brian Lara Stadium in Trinidad. But before that, the last final they had in the Oval, they gave T20 people $4 million. $4 million US to host the finals in the Oval. That's what they pay to host the finals. And they did that stupidness so that when we won the game, Madam come out in she puss in boots and jumping among the players and all of that, hoping that that would have given her another chance in government. When we came in the following year, the T20 interest came to us, came to us, and telling us that we owe them $4 million to do the finals. We said, where is the contract? Or they will take us to court if you don't give them $4 million US to host the finals in Trinidad. We say, well, we're going to court because we're not taking on you and Kamala and your foolishness. Because imagine, that is 2015, eh? By that time, oil price had collapsed, the government in serious financial difficulty, election coming up though, They find $4 million US to give T20 to host finals. We told them we would love to have the finals here, but we will not be extorted. If you can come to a reasonable figure, we will love to have you. And I asked Brian Lara to get involved in the negotiations along with other people here. They threaten us to go to court. I ain't seen no lawsuit. They say, oh, if only don't pay, somebody else will take it. I say, give them. So they went. They went somewhere for one season. Then they came back again. And by that time, they were sober and sensible. And we negotiated for $1 million US a year and a 3-year contract for 3 finals. We negotiated that, and that is how the finals ended up. We gave them in kind. We gave them 600,000 of the 1 million in kind, meaning we gave them the stadium. We didn't have to give them cash for that. We gave them police. We gave them this. We gave them that. And we paid the million in that way. For 1 million as against 4 million, and we got it 3 years in a row. That's how it went. That is what a sensible government does. And now we are in a position to negotiate going forward. If somebody else gives them a better deal, then they go somewhere else. But one thing for sure, that when they're negotiating, they know in Trinidad and Tobago, if they want to put on a good finals anytime, the Brian Lara Stadium is the place to be. That's why it's that. Today, we could host any kind of cricket match in Diego Martin, because Diego Martin, people from Carnage, all the way to Mount Coco, all the way to Paramin, we are sports crazy people. But our young people now have a fine facility. And we will continue to produce them because your government has given them the facility that Diego Martin deserves. Ladies and gentlemen, the change is coming in every area. And it is not by VAPs. You remember when I had to answer questions in Parliament as to why I, as Prime Minister, established a cabinet committee. Because what happens at cabinet, you have a large cabinet of, in this case, 24 people. And if there are issues to be dealt with, you might put 3 or 4 people here, or 10 people, or 2 people, depending on the issue. Those buildings that we call the heritage buildings that we inherited at independence, which we should have preserved, if only as a mark of responsibility as an independent people. President's House, the Parliament, Stallmeyer Castle, Whitehall, Millfleur, those are buildings that we inherited. They were all allowed to reach, some of them at least Millfleur reached the point of collapse, where the engineers were advising us that we couldn't save that building and it may have to be demolished. As Prime Minister, I found it unacceptable in the middle of them attacking me no end for buying back the Casabon paintings. Our #1 historical painter who painted and created for us this legacy that was in foreign hands. We paid $3 million to get back our Casabon heritage for all the people of Trinidad and Tobago for all times. Man, the UNC was on a rampage over that, the Philistines that they are. They have no problem with paying a contractor $300 million more on the Curab overpass, but they have a big problem with the Casabon paintings. And I say to them, go put that where the monkey put the nuts. Because I bought, as the cabinet that I led, we bought the Casabon paintings, and today those paintings are in our heritage here in Trinidad and Tobago. But they didn't end there. They didn't stop there, you know. They didn't stop there. They come to Parliament to make an issue because they're appealing to you, the people, because they think you stupid. How could the Prime Minister take responsibility? What is the Prime Minister doing? Because Kamala Prasad Bisesa put the Parliament in Wade Mark hand. I was on the committee. Put Wade Mark in charge of repairing the Red House. 5 years, disaster. One of the cronies was given the roofing contract from Light Pole 20 Oho in Ohio. He was there 3 or 4 times trying to put on the roof. I said this cannot go on. As Prime Minister, I took personal responsibility and I chaired a subcommittee of the cabinet with about 3 or 4 ministers, Minister of Planning and Development, Minister of Finance, and of course the Parliament staff and the technical people. and we set about to do what had to be done, what should have been done. You may recall, in 2015, just before the election, a piece of the roof of President House collapsed. That was a major part of the campaign. All fall down. Look, President House collapsed. Oh, la, 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 la. And then they go into office. They go into office, and they left it same way. They spend, they earn, they thief, they spend, they thief, and they didn't spend $1 on President House. When you put them out of office 5 years later, it fell to me and my cabinet to deal with President's House. And the first thing we had to do was to go and move out 7 truckloads of rubbish from inside the President's House. They had their own private garbage heap inside the President's House. I can tell you tonight, take a drive around the Savannah and see our heritage building. Our President's House is completed and ready for use in short order. Wade Mark spent 5 years on the parliament. My committee, under UDCOT, we broke up the $800 million contract into 17 parts. Bring it down to $441 million. You all hearing me? And different contractors doing different things with the UDCOT. And I must tell you tonight, the UDCOT management and the UDCOT young professionals have done this country proud. And I may go a bit further and say to you men, you all better be careful. You all are getting further and further behind. All of this work has been done by young women. So, the parliament, you would have seen in the papers, the removal of the fence and a glimpse of the outside of the building. The program we have been working with, there have been little delay here and there, but when you're doing renovation work of old buildings, you never know what you will meet behind a wall that you tear down or under a floor, so you can't be too tight on it. But we were tight on the contractors, and we had to make some adjustments here and there, and one of the major adjustments we made is a common sense adjustment. We were supposed to pull along the buildings at the north of Parliament, where the Defence Force is there now, and to build for the Parliament a companion building costing $400 million. We don't have that money. And when you don't have the money, you have to have the ideas. What this government decided to do, instead of doing that and building a new building there to service the Parliament, the government owns Cabildo building. The government owns the government complex that the UNC had left there untouched. We finished the government's campus. We moved the AG office out of Cabildo into the government campus, created a vacancy at the Cabildo building, built a companionway over St. Vincent Street and linked Parliament to a building which is now the companion building. So your Parliament is now the Red House and Cabildo, and we never had to build $400 million of building on top there. So when we say, and when I say I am the change with those children in Laventille, it's change here, there, and everywhere. Amend the law to have more judges, both local and Commonwealth lawyers, to be Commonwealth judges to serve in Trinidad and Tobago, the same way our judges, our retirees are serving all over the Caribbean and elsewhere. We can populate it with Commonwealth judges and good local judges, good wine in good bottles, good brandy in the brandy bottle. And once we do that and start to dispense justice on time, our society will change. So when I speak about a new society, these are the things that you have to do. Something else I was about to tell you. Two budgets ago, there was a line item in the budget, the building of a prime minister's residence in Tobago. Well, boy, that was like a red flag to a bull to the UNC. Because once again, they believe you're stupid. So because there is something about building a prime minister's house in Tobago, they believe they could use that to politically damage the PNM. There was a prime minister's house in Tobago at Bleming. Patrick Manning was the last prime minister to use it. Under the UNC, they left it there abandoned. The sea eat half and termites eat the other half. So Trinidad and Tobago, this Twin Island nation, had no place in Tobago for the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I've been in this office for 4 years. I spent one night in a hotel in Tobago at taxpayers' expense. And that is because it was the night before a cabinet meeting at the Magdalena Hotel, and we had a pre-cabinet meeting. So we all met there, had cabinet the next day, and I left. That's the only night I spent in Tobago as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Every other visit in Tobago, I go in my own house. Go in my own house. I don't even carry staff with me. I cook my own green fig and saltfish. Under the UNC, instead of going and maintaining the Prime Minister's house and going there or going to the government hotel at Magdalena, they spend millions at Cocoa Reef, drinking and drunking every time they're in Tobago, costing taxpayers millions. But they want to come and tell me nonsense about the biggest scandal in my government is that a group from Ministry of Sport under Darius Smith went to Tobago to a function of the THA and they spent $94,000. That was 1 hour under the UNC at Cocoa Reef Hotel. But we decided that in this nation of Trinidad and Tobago, there must be accommodation for the President of Trinidad and Tobago in Trinidad and in Tobago, and we've done that. Our President will now be able to use the President House in Trinidad and maintain the use in the one in Tobago. And the one in Trinidad for Prime Minister is being occupied by the Prime Minister, and it is not a brothel, it's a family home. And we took steps to build on the site in Blemming a residence for the Prime Minister in Tobago. I want to advise you all now, it's done, it's finished, it's nice. In Trinidad and Tobago now there exists an appropriate residence for the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago in Tobago. And for the first time as Prime Minister, on the 21st of December, I will be able to host Tobagonians to a Christmas function at Blemming in Tobago. This country has to change for the better. And none of them, the one thing I can guarantee you, they may not agree with what we do. They will not agree with what we do to benefit the country. But the one thing that they will never be able to truthfully say is that I, as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, thief taxpayers' money. So, we are making these changes. We are expanding the infrastructure in the country. Even in difficult times, we're not taking the easiest decisions. We took the hard decisions. We still gave our children 400 scholarships this year, the same amount as when we had $20 billion more, because we believe in investing in our future, and our young people are our future. We are paying, every time the bill comes up to pay for the Coast Guard vessels in Australia, we pay the bill because we are borrowing through the Australia lending facility. They have a problem with that because they know that the day those Coast Guard vessels come here, we will be better able to patrol our coastline and to keep out marauders and keep out traffickers and keep out drug and gun dealers. They know that. And that's why they're trying to prevent it. Why in God's name, if we don't have the money? And Prime Minister Turnbull said to me, when I asked him, please, can you help? Australia is a Commonwealth country that has a surplus budget every year. We are into deficit since 2009. Prime Ministers talk to one another. I talked to Prime Minister Turnbull in London and I asked him, can you help? He said, yes, Australia can help. And within one day, he connected us to Australia and we are now getting our vessels built. Wade Mark know that we're paying $300 million more. And those vessels are not ordinary vessels. They are built for purpose. When they come here, they'll be able to go to sea for 28 days before coming back into shore. It means that they can patrol for a month off the south coast, off the east coast, off Tobago, and keep an eye on who is coming to us. We're buying 2 of them so that at any given point in time, we can have one at sea somewhere around this country. How else do you close the borders? They believe you get all galvanized, get some posts, and then build a galvanized fence from Sejus all the way to Moruga, and you're closing the border. Set that idiots. You understand? And every time anything happens, unfortunately, we have some of our seamen going out there to fish, and they might run into criminals at sea because there's criminal on land and criminals at sea. Instead of empathizing with them and standing with the government and changing the laws and making the most of what we have, they exploit every tragedy in this country. Every tragedy is to be exploited. You all forget there was a case in Arima when a little boy, 12-year-old boy, was home in the daytime. His mother left him and came to town. He was left there with an adult. We came in the afternoon to the shock to find out somebody went in the house, killed the adult woman, and killed the 12-year-old. Come look on the people's house and started to play politics and blaming the government. And when it turns out, it was a family killing. The killer didn't know the boy was in the house. Came to kill the woman for benefit over family business. The little boy appeared because he didn't live there. His mother left him there to come to town. And the little boy, poor child, showed up when the murder took place, and the murderer killed that boy. That was a big UNC platform. Big UNC platform. Now, what do you say to people like that? What do you say to them? Right here in Diego Martin, the day Arnold Roberts won his case, as a result of the report being made available in a way that it was made available, some people say deliberately, the report, the Central Audit Report on live sport, which started at 6 million and ended up at 400 million. That audit report, which was supposed to be the foundation for criminal investigation, in a bar, people make it public in the parliament, and he'll go to court and tell the court he's a victim of whatever, herefore, therefore, wherefore, you win the case. The same night, Kamala comes to Diego Martin to bring back Arnil in the Senate. In the Senate. But I wasn't surprised, because when he was to have been thrown out from the government by the motion in the parliament, she was there backing him to remain. The last words Arnil made on the parliament under Kamala guidance in the parliament, in that live sport racket and scandal where lives were lost. There's a woman right now hiding in Miami, can't come home because killers out there for her. The last words in that parliament, in that motion from Arnil, was long live live sport. So the day you win the case, they go Martin here, Kamala comes, she bringing back Arnil. And as if that is not enough, this local government election, he is back. Back. And those are the people who want your future. They want to eat the future of the children of Trinidad and Tobago, and you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, of Diego Martin, right here in Four Roads. You have to stand between the children and those. And that is why tonight, as leader of the People's National Movement, I am particularly proud of the crop of candidates that we have been able to select from Carenage to Sangre Grande, from Icacos to San Fernando, from Cunupia all the way into wherever there are seats to be fought. The one thing we are proud of in this party of 63 years heritage is that every election, whether it's THA election, general election, local election, by-election, you, the people, have available to you the People's National Movement. There's a PNM candidate there. So in this local election, where we are proud of the 800 people that we have trained, most of them have been put to work already in the corporations as our improvement for safety and security at local government. We are proud of that. We ask you to vote in support of that. We have just won a case in the courthouse where they went to court and fought us for 2.5 years, saying that only large contractors must collect garbage in Trinidad and Tobago. We have won that case 3 weeks ago. I ask you to vote in support of that. As I speak to you now as Member of Parliament for Diego Martin West, all of my constituency, garbage is not being collected. People are being paid. Because every time there's an election, all of a sudden, we can't get garbage collected in the P&M areas. Going to Glencoe, residential area in Glencoe, and we can't do a thing about it. The Martin Corporation can't do a thing about it because they were in the court fighting that the corporation must not have authority over garbage collection. All of that will change and must change, because if we are going to create a new society, that is the change that we are after. That's the change that we are after. We have said that small business must be given 10% of government contracting. That is what is going to happen, and it must happen in garbage collection and in small construction. Ladies and gentlemen, the future is bright. I have every confidence that notwithstanding whatever challenges we face in this country, there can be no challenge greater than slavery, and we overcome that. I'm saying to you, in this country, we had the challenge of indentureship, we overcome that. We had the challenge of being colonials, where we were ruled from London, fed from London, and guided from London. We overcome that. Today, this country is in our hands, and we are responsible. I ask you as a people to accept responsibility for your country. No responsibility is too great for you. As a father, put your child on your shoulder. As a mother, put your child in your lap and take responsibility for the next generation. There are those who will tell you that we can't do it and that we are a failed state. I ask you to look at those who are calling our country a failed state. They are the ones who live the best of what little we have, and they could go to hell with that. Ladies and gentlemen, we will fight to defend this country. We will fight to grow this country. We will fight to change this country. Great is the P&M. Great is the P&M. Great is the P&M, and we shall prevail.
Digo Martin, how you feeling? Digo Martin, put your hands in the